Yeah, Ilia's in the hospital. He's busted up. You know, I'm not a doctor, but his eye looked like he probably has broken orbital. I don't know that. That's not a fact, but I'm just assuming. And my plans for him are to go home and rest and recover and take his time. And you know, tonight was a rough night for him. I just want to make sure he's healthy and good, and not even thinking about him fighting again. Just want him to go home and relax and rest and heal.
I think if he fights the right fight, he will learn a lot from that. I think Ilia wins the rematch, and that's that's no knock on Justin at all. It's just like obviously Ilia was a favorite for a reason, but yeah, I just think that Ilia, if he doesn't rush as much, fights at a little bit better distance, and then does what he usually does, sets up nice traps, he'll eventually find him. But yeah, being so aggressive is sort of what cost him, I believe.
UFC. And then Ilia, it looked like he got really damaged in either the first or the second round, and he was having real trouble seeing out of one of his eyes. And then Justin started landing bombs in the third round. Ilia had slowed down quite a bit. It looked like he had really tried to finish Justin in the second. And sometimes when you try to finish a guy, you just hit the gas way too much and you can't recover in between rounds. And
you have been linked.
Maybe more significantly was the eye damage. Both of his eyes were swollen shut. His nose was fucked up. He'd taken so many punches to the face, and it looked like perhaps orbital damage, like maybe he had a fractured orbital, because his whole thing had just swollen.
I would say definitely not a rematch.
Before the cage door even locked on the south lawn of the White House, the story was supposed to be completely written. UFC Freedom 250 was meant to be a legendary coronation for an undefeated, untouchable champion. Ilia Topuria walked into the octagon with an aura of absolute invincibility, facing a massive 6-1 underdog in Justin Gaethje. Most fans expected the aging veteran to be just another violent highlight reel for the rising star. Instead, the world watched in stunned silence as the unstoppable prodigy was systematically dismantled, completely broken, and left utterly unrecognizable. By the time the final bell mercifully rang, the conversation had shifted from Topuria's greatness to a terrifying medical emergency. This wasn't just an upset. It was a brutal exposure that left the entire fight world asking one massive question. Is Ilia Topuria's career permanently altered? But to understand how this nightmare unfolded, you have to look at the horrifying moments immediately following the fight. Normally, when a UFC main event concludes, Dana White is the first person to grab a microphone and start hyping up the winner's next blockbuster title defense. But on this night, the UFC president was visibly shaken. There was no talk of matchups. There was no talk of rankings. White's only priority was making sure Ilia Topuria safely made it out of the arena before the referee could even officially raise Gaethje's hand in victory. Topuria was rushed backstage and immediately sent to the hospital. The damage was absolutely catastrophic. Reports quickly surfaced confirming that the former champion had suffered severe fractures to both his orbital bones, alongside a completely shattered nose. His face was so structurally compromised that his eyes had completely swollen shut. The sheer volume of blunt force trauma he absorbed turned a highly anticipated title fight into a desperate situation of survival. Doctors ordered weeks of absolute rest, warning that any premature contact could cause irreversible damage to his vision. The physical destruction was terrifying enough, but it raised an even darker question. How did a fighter who was universally feared end up taking such a life-altering beating? The answer lies in a brilliant, violent strategy that almost everyone completely missed.
The shots that Justin was landing, and maybe even more impressive, what he endured.
Yeah.
Those rips to the body, those left hooks to the body were so nasty. He got hurt so bad. He almost got finished. It looked like he was going to get triangled. It looked like he was going to get arm barred. It was over and over again. He was dominated on the ground. It looked bad. And for him to come back from that, it makes it all the more sweet. And for him to do this at the White House, there was something about him shadow boxing with the American flag wrapped around him when he was warming up.
Your heart's filled.
Going into the bout, every analyst on the planet warned that Justin Gaethje's wild, brawling style was a death sentence against a precision sniper like Topuria. But they completely underestimated the veteran's fight IQ. MMA legend Demetrius Johnson broke down the footage and revealed the hidden genius behind Gaethje's performance. Topuria is a master of distance, using his lethal jab to set up devastating, fight-ending hooks to the body. To stop that, Gaethje did the exact opposite of what everyone expected. He didn't run away. He jumped directly into fire. By aggressively closing the distance and smothering the champion right from the opening bell, Gaethje completely neutralized Topuria's ability to rip the body. He forced the undefeated star out of his calculated rhythm and dragged him into a chaotic, suffocating dogfight. Topuria nearly ended the fight multiple times, locking in tight arm bars and dangerous triangle chokes. But Gaethje miraculously survived every single attempt, and every time a veteran escaped, he answered with bone-crushing forward pressure. He didn't just want to win rounds. He wanted to drown the champion in deep waters. And according to one MMA insider, that suffocating pressure led to a specific, hidden moment where Topuria's spirit finally cracked.
Gaethje versus Ilia Topuria, I don't know shit about fighting. I said every single prediction. Later in the week, I'm like, damn.
20%. You gave him 20%.
Yeah, no. There was a little bit, but in my mind, I'm like, dude, Ilia is so fucking confident and so sharp and so skilled, and Gaethje's too wild. Ilia's gonna knock him out. I was like set. My mind was so set on that. He just fucking broke Ilia's face. He broke his mental, and that was like, that's Ilia's at the hospital 100%, probably for the next little while. That was one of the most crazy, inspiring performances I've ever seen.
When you watch a fight, the end usually seems obvious. A knockout blow, a tap out, or a referee stepping in to stop the carnage. But Chael Sonnen noticed a split-second exchange that told a completely different story. Deep into the grueling late rounds, a battered and exhausted Topuria shot for a desperate double-leg takedown. It wasn't a calculated offensive move. It was a survival tactic. He was looking for a way out of the relentless striking exchanges. But Gaethje flawlessly defended it, turning his hips, sprawling heavily, and forcing Topuria back onto his feet. According to Sonnen, that failed takedown was the exact moment the fight truly ended. It was a silent surrender. Topuria had emptied his entire physical and mental gas tank into that final effort, and when it didn't work, his body language instantly shifted. He realized that no matter what he did, the veteran was not going to stop coming forward. He had officially acquiesced to his opponent. The physical damage was horrific, but the mental realization that you are completely trapped in a cage with a man you cannot hurt is a trauma that changes fighters forever. This total breakdown in confidence led to a frantic and highly controversial scene between rounds that the cameras barely caught.
Topuria is going to need time to recover mentally, emotionally, and physically. He's never lost before. This is gonna take something to overcome. One of the things that was Topuria's greatest weapons, greatest strengths, greatest traits, besides his overall ability and technically be sound, and he was a full package. He really was. Talent-wise, technique, everything. But one of the things foremost that leads the way for all those things to mean something is he has supreme confidence.
As the third round ended, the chaos inside Topuria's corner was absolute madness. The champion collapsed onto his stool, his face a swollen, unrecognizable mess. Audio from the broadcast picked up a chilling admission. He told his team he couldn't see out his right eye. In combat sports, losing your vision is an immediate red flag. A ringside physician rushed in to perform a quick assessment. From a distance, it looked like the fight was officially being called off. The doctor shook his head, signaling to the referee that Topuria was severely compromised. But then, pure confusion took over. Topuria, displaying the undeniable heart of champion, violently shook his head and refused to quit. In a bizarre sequence, officials actually yanked his water bottle away, a silent signal that his time to recover was over. Yet, despite the medical red flags and the doctor's initial hesitation, they allowed a half-blind fighter to walk back into the center of the octagon. Many fans argued the corner should have thrown in the towel to protect their star from permanent damage. Instead, they let him fight on pure survival instinct, a decision that ultimately led to the catastrophic facial fractures. And while Topuria was fighting for his life, his biggest rivals were sitting back, eagerly watching his empire crumble.
Ilia continued. He used that final leg dive. That was his last bit of energy, but also mentally. Also mentally. And that's something that's very hard for a doctor to see. It's very hard for anybody to see that hasn't done it. But there is a time in a cage fight when you will acquiesce to your opponent. You will concede. You've got me. And from that moment on, do you finish the fight? Do you stall it out? Can you time up? Can you protect yourself? Do you flick it? There's all sorts of options, but there is a time when you mentally are done.
The moment the fight was waved off, the MMA world erupted, and Topuria's enemies wasted no time rubbing salt in his wounds. Paddy Pimblett took to social media, brutally mocking the defeated champion and laughing at the fact that he was forced to quit on a stool. Even Conor McGregor chimed in, noting that the young star had finally met the reality of the fight game. But the coldest reaction of all came from the man who actually inflicted the damage. When reporters asked Justin Gaethje if he would give Topuria an immediate rematch, the veteran didn't hesitate. He shot the idea down instantly. Gaethje stated bluntly, "I made him quit on the stool. I stopped him twice. What else do I have to do?" He completely dismissed the former champion, suggesting Topuria should go fight someone else to rebuild his shattered confidence. It was a ruthless dismissal that proved Gaethje didn't just take Topuria's belt. He completely stripped away his dignity and his fearsome reputation. But while the fighters and fans treated it as entertainment, the reality of the situation was completely devastating for the one person standing closest to fire.
Comes back and he's a better version of himself. But we don't know until that happens.
Michael Bisping's comments immediately caught people's attention. Not because he guaranteed Ilia was finished, but because he reminded everyone how unpredictable this sport can be. MMA history filled with champions who looked unstoppable right up until the night they weren't. Some rebuilt themselves into even greater fighters. Others spent the rest of their careers chasing the version of themselves they once were. Right now, nobody honestly knows which category Ilia Topuria.
Behind the flashy knockouts and the supreme confidence, Ilia Topuria's entire career was built alongside one person, his older brother, Alexandra. They had been wrestling on the same mats since they were 8 years old. They weren't just siblings. They were best friends who had carefully engineered an unstoppable path to the top of the sport. Before the fight, Alexandra spoke with absolute certainty, fully believing that his brother was going to walk through Gaethje with ease. But the fight game is a cruel master. Alexander had to stand inches away, completely helpless, as he watched his best friend absorb life-altering punishment. The broadcast captured the heartbreaking moment as they walked back to the locker room. Ilia, severely concussed and blinded by the swelling, was practically collapsing into his brother's arms, relying entirely on Alexandra to keep him upright. It was a raw, devastating reminder that while the fans tune in for the violence, the families carry the emotional scars long after the arena goes dark. And according to veterans of the sport, those scars might never truly heal.
No. I don't think. I think if he fights the right fight, he will learn a lot from that. I think Ilia wins the rematch, and that's that's no knock on Justin at all. It's just like obviously Ilia was a favorite for a reason, but I just think that Ilia, if he doesn't rush as much, fights at a little bit better distance, and then does what he usually does, sets up nice traps, he'll eventually find him. But yeah, being so aggressive is sort of what cost him, I believe.
Fighters are built to overcome pain, but facial fractures are a completely different animal. Former champion Rashad Evans and legendary boxing trainer Teddy Atlas weighed in on the horrific aftermath, warning that the physical recovery is only half the battle. Broken bones eventually fuse back together, but the psychological trauma of an orbital fracture is something that haunts fighters for the rest of their lives. Evans explained the terrifying reality of the phantom pain. Even after a doctor clears a fighter to compete, the first time they take a hard jab to the face in sparring, the bone throbs. The mind instantly remembers the exact moment the face was caved in. This creates a subconscious hesitation. A fighter who used to throw caution to the wind suddenly starts blinking heavily, flinching, and retreating when pressured. Topuria had spent his entire career acting as a hammer. He possessed a terrifying aura that made opponents freeze before the fight even started. But Gaethje shattered that aura. Now, every future opponent knows that Topuria can be broken. He bleeds, he panics, and he can be forced to quit. When you lose your invincibility in the fight game, you rarely ever get it back. UFC Freedom 250 wasn't just a massive upset. It was a brutal reminder of how fragile a perfect record truly is. Justin Gaethje proved that heart, experience, and relentless forward pressure can shatter even the most flawless hype train. Now, the entire MMA world is holding its breath. Can Ilia Topuria conquer his own mental demons and rebuild the empire he lost? Or will he become yet another cautionary tale of champion whose prime was violently stolen in a single night?
I would put Justin Gaethje against Paddy Pimblett. I think that he's gonna.
You think Paddy's gonna beat Justin Gaethje?
Easy.
Wow. Really easy.
Yeah, easy.
Really easy.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a crazy thing to say because Justin Gaethje's a fucking animal.
Yeah, but he doesn't know how to grapple, and Paddy knows.
But he's a Division I wrestler. He knows how to grapple. You don't think he knows how to grapple? He just chooses not to. He chooses to stand and fight.
I don't think so. Did you ever saw him submitting someone?
I don't believe he's ever submitted someone, but I think that's because he likes to just crush people. He likes to bang it out and fight. He used to fight.
What everyone likes is to dominate people and to win as soon as possible. If you have the ability to submit someone as soon as you can, you would do it.
I think that's your mindset. I think Justin Gaethje's mindset is to be the most violent person alive. The thing is, man, don't think that Justin Gaethje can't win. Like, anybody can lose in an MMA fight. People get hit. Like in Ilia Topuria, one of his early fights, Herbert caught him with a head kick in the first round.
Если говорить про самые ожидаемые бои в мире UFC, то, очевидно, это бой твоего брата Илии Топурии с Исламом Махачевым. А хотел бы ты тоже в этом карде присутствовать и быть, например, в соглавном бою вечера и как раз сразиться с Умаром?
If we're talking about probably some of the most expected fights in the UFC, the ones that people are longing to see, most likely it's a fight against your brother against Islam Makhachev. Would you be interested in also being featured on that card, potentially to be a co-main event against somebody like an Umar?
Actually, the thing is that right now they ask me the same question if they're gonna see us fighting in the same card. And the answer is no, because our path is a little bit different. We organize everything a little bit different, but it can be in different cards, you know.
Меня уже спросили этот вопрос по-грузински, но я уже ответил, что нет, скорее всего нет, поскольку